Hi, everyone. I'm Teresa Lysam, and I'm coming to you with my amazing guest co host, Lynn McLaughlin, and we're evolving women. I'm evolving. You're evolving. We're all evolving. We're all in this journey together. And to help that journey, we're here to share uplifting messages, offer new perspectives, tools, resources, wellness ideas, maybe some mindset shifts, maybe plant some new seeds so we all evolve faster. We're also here to give you permission to be your best self. So, welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Welcome.
What brings you joy? And
Oh
are
my gosh.
you putting joy off into the future until some future event takes place? Well, we're going to explore that thought today with Lynn. So we're so glad you're here, Lynn. Thank you so much. And I know we just had this conversation right before I hit the record, a little bit about joy, joy being all around us. Some people wait until the universe hits them upside the head with a two by four before they really allow themselves to feel joy. So please share your journey around that whole concept, if you would, please.
Well, you just defined. Yep, that's exactly what happened to me. I wouldn't say I didn't have any joy prior to that, but I mean, I think every single one of us needs to reflect on a daily basis. Are we on this treadmill? Are we on this go, go, go cycle? And we don't actually take any time to pause, which I now do. But I'll never forget the day, July 14th, 2013. And I went for an MRI because I'd been having these horrible headaches and lots of other symptoms. They sent me right to the emergency room, and alone, I found out I had a brain tumor.
Mm,
And I had explained away these symptoms for probably a year and a half.
wow.
And the swelling was so intense, the edema, my brain had actually shifted a full centimeter to the right. I was a
Mm,
walking time bomb. I shouldn't have been driving. I shouldn't have been going to work. I
mm,
shouldn't have been like the neurosurgeon that I met with four days later said he was surprised I wasn't in a coma. So I
mm.
did, as you described, when, I had done 1 year, I had surpassed my career goals. I was a superintendent of education, and that was one of my excuses. Oh, the learning curve. Oh, I turned 50 years old. Oh,
Mm,
right. All of
mhm.
those things. And yeah, stopped in my tracks. Everything stopped. All those meetings, those appointments, and look at
Mhm.
my kids in school, anyway, it just stopped. You don't have any choices at that
Right,
point.
you don't. You don't. I know that health thing. We could have everything in the world, all the money in the world, everything, and as soon as some health issue comes up, yeah, you're just like everybody, every other person in the world. All of that stuff is meaningless if you don't have your health.
Exactly.
Yeah, that.
Exactly. And then you have to change everybody goes through the why me? What did I do? What did I, and all those kinds of things. And what's the purpose of life? But what it really did for me was help me focus on what I had control over and what I didn't have any control over. I didn't have
Mm,
any control over that 9 hour surgery, the craniotomy, but I did have control over keeping the negativity out of my life.
mhm,
Prepping myself, getting myself as healthy and as fit as I could in only 3 weeks.
mm,
And that changed my outlook from that period on. Of course, after the surgery, I had to learn the new me, right?
mm.
Memory issues, all kinds of things. I drove my kids crazy for 3 weeks. Everything was rocking. That rocks, it rocks. I had to reinvent some things. I had a period of psychosis. So, but all of these things, I guess my point goes back to your first question is don't wait for something like that to happen to
Mhm,
you or a family member. Take some time today to pause and say, thankful gratitude, okay, whatever we want to call it.
mhm.
There are things in every single one of our lives that we can be appreciating if we take the time to stop and recognize it.
Yeah, we tend to, yeah, take things for granted. And they don't have to be big things. It's just the little things. I know when I'm in the shower, I'm always so grateful for the water coming into my bathroom so conveniently. Like I don't have to walk a mile for good, clean water. It comes into my house. So just those little things like that, just noticing can really change the trajectory of your day and the way you think. Um,
Exact last night, our hydro, we had high winds here in Southern Ontario. Hydro went out, probably 10 times, popped back in it. And then you appreciate it.
oh
Sometimes
yeah,
it just
for
has to
sure.
be there for you to say, okay, hold
Mhm.
on.
Right, for
right?
sure, man.
But
It's
you're right. We do take that for granted, those things that we have at our fingertips without even thinking twice about it.
mhm. But just taking the time, it doesn't have to be a ton of time, but moments in your day to just look around you and appreciate what you have.
And
It's
who you
so
have
powerful. And
and
who
who
you
you
have.
have.
Yeah, who you
Yeah.
have. It's so, so powerful. So you were pretty, and thank you for sharing that. I've heard that from other people as well. Just they waited too long, just something happened. And literally, like the universe just said, stop,
That's
you
right.
know, and that's what they had to do. So it totally happens. I want to come back around to your career in education. You obviously had a full career. You achieved a lot. It sounds like you achieved everything you wanted to achieve. And then you retired, and then things shifted there as well. Because I think retirement it can go one of two ways, possibly. I mean, I know there's a whole spectrum of where people fall in that retirement realm, but some people love it, some people hate it. Like they don't know who they are once they retire. They've left their identity behind with that previous career, that previous job, that previous skill set, and now they just kind of flounder around. But how was your experience when you retired?
Yeah, it's very interesting because my husband and I are totally different. He was a police officer and he took 8 months and did nothing and
Hmm.
then started working part-time for FedEx. You know, no stress, pretty,
Yeah.
physical. It was okay. I was the opposite. I retired, I think, September 1st, and the very first week I was teaching at the college, the local college.
Mm,
I needed that step down. I absolutely had to have a step down. So I think we need to know ourselves and what we enjoy doing. Some people, like my husband, a totally different step down away from his career. Very different. I stayed within education, but I also moved into the world of entrepreneurship. So that was new and interesting to me. I think, what's the expression now, Teresa? Something about 60 is the old, like we are young in our 50s
yeah,
and
yeah,
60s, so
exactly.
much more vibrant and active and
Hmm.
aware than maybe our grandparents were
Oh
for
yeah.
whatever reason. And there's so much to still do, even traveling
Hmm.
if that's something you want to do. And if you're single,
Hmm.
you can join single travel groups. I guess my question I would ask people are you ready? If you're able to retire, and there's lots of reasons why you can't, financial, those kinds of things. But if you're able to retire and you're not because you have trepidation or fear, take a good long walk or some time to yourself to say, what is that fear? Because when you can identify it,
Mm.
then you can start to put things in place to say, oh, okay, I can do this and I can do that and I can do this. You can volunteer. Oh my gosh, I love volunteering in the community and the joy it brings. And you don't have to wait for retirement. We talked about
Hmm.
joy at the beginning. There's lots of ways to find joy in whatever position you are right now, regardless. So I'm going on a tangent, I think.
Oh, hey, that's fine.
Okay.
Go where you want to go. And I love that you just proposed. If you are feel fearful, because I have talked to a couple ladies that are right on that verge of retiring. They can retire, but there's all
Yeah.
this fear. And yeah, just taking the time to explore that, because to me, it's a whole new world opens up for you. You have all this potentiality, all these possibilities to explore things you might not have been able to do when you were in a different phase of your life.
Yeah. And I would
Like,
say for younger listeners, meet with your financial advisor when, like, young, start
yeah,
putting
yeah, yeah.
$10 a paycheck, $100 a
Hmm.
paycheck aside, because then the doors won't be closed when you're ready to retire. You'll have that money put aside for some comfort to enjoy yourself. And if you're worried and you're staying in your job because, oh, you think you're going to get a pay raise in a year, if you're
Hmm.
on a pension in Ontario, you get a pay raise every year based on
Hmm.
based on your employment. I'm getting a 2.8% raise. And, I didn't get a raise for 8 years. So,
Well,
I think, like you said, you have to look at all of those factors that what
hmm.
is your fear? And if it's financial, what do I don't have to pay for anymore? Oh, I don't, oh, wow. All the car service will be down, not as
Hmm.
much mileage, no gifts for people. All those things do matter in the end if it's financial pressures, right?
Yeah, I know that was one of the fears that came up multiple times. And that is a viable fear, but I don't
It is.
know if it should stop a person from doing some exploration and trying some different things. And yeah, it just see it. And it's how your attitude is, what your perspective is. Do you see it as the door has closed for you and that's the end of the line? Or is it the door has opened and you got this whole wonderland of, this whole buffet to choose from? Like you said, volunteering is there's got to be some type of resources in your local area that you could tap into. And if you focus on others, then, it's a win-win for you and it's a win-win for them. And you're not, in that fear based, like, oh, what am I? It's all about that other person, that other group, that other.
Yeah. And the other thing about volunteering is the networking. I'm part of Rotary, for example, and we have people in our group from all different professions, from late 20s to older than me. And when you start to network with people like that, things tend to open up that you never thought of before. When I
Yeah.
discovered the world of entrepreneurship, holy macaroni, right here in my own county, there were solopreneurs and all of these people I didn't know about and doing amazing things. And it was really exciting. So,
Hmm.
we know what we know, but what's out there that we don't know about yet that
Right,
maybe we can
right.
explore?
Right. And I love that you said networking because, yeah, you're introduced to new people who are doing things that you had never thought about before.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can be so exciting, man. I love meeting people that are doing all kinds of interesting things and how they got there. And that could lead you to somebody else who could lead you to a new opportunity.
Yeah.
So there's all this ripple effect out, just by meeting people. But I love when you talked that you mentioned that those in your group are like young people up to older people from all walks of life. I love this concept of this intergenerational mix instead of
Yeah.
just staying with your age group, on either end of the spectrum. You're mixing and sharing wisdom and learning from all these different walks of life and all these different age groups. So, yeah, share your thoughts on that.
Well, I'll give another example. Um, back in 2020 in COVID, right? We all had some moments in COVID. I was out for a walk and my niece was just about to graduate from with her master's at the University of Windsor. And I just went, all these kids are struggling. Everybody's struggling. What's going on? We're doing it backwards. Why do we wait for symptoms
Mhm.
when we see our kids are in trouble before we intervene? And I said, would you write a book with me? And she was, okay. I'd already written two books. I kind of knew what was happening, but we decided to do children's book series. So here is my niece who was in her early 30s at that time. Here I am in my 50s, social worker and teacher. And then we brought in a local illustrator who was just graduating from high school. And the three of us, what we came up with would never have been possible without that collaboration. Different minds, different levels of experience and education and insights. And I have learned so much from my niece, around being present, how to stay calm, how to be appreciative, and specific strategies when you're stressed. So back and forth, and I know she's learned from me in the publishing world and all those kinds of things. And of course,
Mhm.
there's an educational component to those books. That's my part.
Of
But there's an
course.
example of a collaboration where I just thought I need another lens here. This is bigger than the teacher lens. This is about how do we give kids tools, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 before they're
Mm.
teenagers. So yeah, there's another example, and it's been amazing.
I love that. That is such an exciting idea for me. And I think sometimes people think they have to do things alone. That's like, at least here in the States, that seems to be a mindset. Do it alone and blah. And you don't. I love collaboration myself. That's why I do these, chats with people. I just
Yeah.
feel like I said, more brains, multiple brains are better than just one. And I feel more creative and just more productive when I'm interacting and collaborating with others.
Well, look at a school system, right? There was a day where you were in your classroom. It isn't like that anymore. It shouldn't be like that anymore. If you have four grade 3 teachers, why are you each creating your own? lessons and
Hmm.
curriculum. It doesn't make any sense. It's collaborating, it's coming together, it's, sharing your
Hmm.
knowledge and your expertise. And there's another example of you got brand new teachers all the way to people to
Hmm.
people. So there's a whole wealth of knowledge and experience to draw from. I mean, and I'm hearing, and I hope it isn't true, from some of my colleagues that people are just they're going to work and they're coming home, and that whole let's go out and have a bite afterwards has fallen by the wayside.
Oh,
So I
that
hope
is.
that collaboration is still happening within the workday because it's so, so important. And sometimes you go to work because you love the people you work with,
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
you
Yep.
know?
Yep. That's like it, not the job itself, what you're doing in those moment by moment times, but yeah, the
Yeah.
people make it or break it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that you're collaborating with your niece. That is just such a beautiful idea. And then you're collaborating to give tools to even a younger generation. So you have two generations working together in collaboration to create this book for a younger generation. So they have tools early on in their life. So as they grow up, they can take these and bring these tools with them so that they can impart them to their younger generation. I
And
love
and the
that.
cool thing is, grandparents can are using these tools. I've had grandparents say, "Thank you so much. I had no idea." They didn't know how to
Mm,
help their grandkids, and now they're using the tools themselves. These are strategies that every single one of us can use, from
mm,
deep breathing to understanding when it's Henrietta in your head talking to you, and that's not the that's not the truth.
yeah.
All of those kinds of things. So, yeah, it's been a wonderful experience.
So what's the name of your book or your book series?
It's called The Power of Thought.
Mm,
5 different books. We beam everybody off to this fictional, and this is where it's so cool to have an illustrator because you could we made up a planet called Tezra. We just made it fun. We made the
hmm.
beings hover. We named them all after crystals. They all glow in the
Oh,
color of their feelings because they
cool.
don't know how to manage them yet. So every book takes kids out to something that happens to every kid, where there's some type of a feeling or an emotion, and then we walk them through a strategy.
Oh
It's
my
it's
gosh.
yeah, and every book is different. Yeah.
Love that.
It's such fun.
And I love crystals. I love crystals, so I love that you've tied those together with the colors. So it's like you have multi-sensory things
Yeah,
going on.
Carnuli and Lazu and after right, they're all named after crystals. So yeah.
Mm, love that. Now, is each book talk about a particular emotion, or do you have multiple
No,
characters?
we use the same color grid. I'll call it that. But we don't just say red is angry. We introduce red is anger. There's different, right? It's not just happy, sad, glad, mad anymore. I think there's something like 200 emotional words in the vocabulary, so we're trying to expand it. No, the vocabulary, the color coding is the same from book to book to book. The names of the characters are obviously the same. It's just the lesson that's taught and the context of why it's taught, what's happening to that individual being.
Hmm. Oh my gosh, I love that. Do you have I know I've read some children's books, which I love kids' books. I've always loved them. I love reading them to kids. But some books will have like little questions or thought-provoking things at the end of it. Do you have something like that in your books?
We have the strategy laid out step by step.
Do you?
Yeah, step by step. So, for example, one is about using the elements of earth, wind, fire, and water.
Mm,
Yeah. And so at the end, there's a whole strategy, which are the four elements, and then we take them through the process. And then there's think tank pages and follow-up activities to help them practice and reinforce it. That's the teacher part.
of course. I
Whether kids
love
like
that.
music or art or drama, there's all ways to help them reinforce it so it becomes part of their toolbox that's readily available to them, right? You can't just read the book once and expect them. So when situations occur, oh, wait a minute. We just talked about using the elements and water is a good one for you. Let's do that together. And then you
Mm,
practice it too because it works.
I love that
Calming
think
ourselves is
tank.
a wonderful thing in this world.
I love that think tank activity. So you're telling the story, but then you kind of bring it all together very clearly, like you said, step by step. Like
Yeah.
this is what they did in the story, and you can look at that portion of it and take that into your real life and Act out those activities. Oh, I love that. I could,
Exactly. Well
um,
described.
oh, I love, love, love that. I love the whole think tank idea. That Inside Out, that movie, well, there's two now, came to
Oh,
mind.
I've only seen the first one.
Yeah,
Yes.
I started the second one. I haven't seen the entire thing though, but I didn't know what to expect when I started watching that movie. I think I started it with my grandkids. And it's like,
Mm.
holy smokes, like this is amazing. I just really, it seems like it's a real popular movie. So there's obviously this need for emotional awareness, emotional language, and being able to talk about it, talk about emotions. When
I
I
think
grew up, we
so.
didn't talk about emotions. It was
No,
not
I suck
something
it up,
that,
buttercup. I know I'm right with you.
yeah,
I think it, to me, it comes down to understanding that our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions are all connected. And if you can understand what's happening in your brain, then the feelings naturally flow and it just becomes part of who you are. And then the actions are a result of understanding that this Henry, I'm going to fail. Here's another one. I'm going to fail the test. I'm going to fail the test. And then we teach
hmm
them, wait a minute, what's real? Let's focus on
hmm
what's real. So if you can catch that, whatever's
yeah,
in your brain, you can then change your actions and your feelings become more of a natural thing. And the other thing we have started to do as parents and in my circle of people is let's just talk about our own vulnerability. If we've had a bad day, you come in and say, I had a horrible day at work. I'm going to be in the living room. I need to take my
yeah,
10 minutes. And
yeah,
you model how you
yeah,
are coping and calming yourself down to come back and join your family in a positive way as opposed to coming in and blowing up and not
yeah,
showing that you have a coping
exactly.
strategy. And you might have 10, model different ones.
I love that.
Yeah.
Coping skills, coping strategies. Again, I didn't have that growing up. That was not a thing.
No.
So what do we do instead? We stuffed them down,
Yeah.
which is not good for our health in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just excited that younger people, younger generation, they're getting these awarenesses, these strategies. Like I said, so as they move through life, their lives are going to be better, which is going to be a ripple effect. Their interpersonal relationships will be better, and the whole world will be better for sure.
Kinder with more
Yes, for
empathy.
sure. More
Yes.
compassion.
I really think my niece's generation is changing the
Oh,
trajectory.
heck yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
totally am right with you on that. It's just, oh yeah, it's so exciting to me. And I so appreciate and applaud you for bringing this to the world and having an impact in that way. So thank you so much for being part of that change, that up leveling, that emotional awareness that we all need. Yeah, for sure. Things wouldn't be on the news as they are now if
Mm,
people knew how to cope and had
yeah.
some type of things that they could just grab and take some deep breathing. I mean, something as simple as that. Again, I was never taught that.
Nope.
That's such
It
a
was suck it
simple
up,
thing.
buttercup. Go up
Yeah,
to your room, wait for
exactly.
dad to come home and get the belt.
Exactly. Oh my God, you got that
Like
right.
you weren't expressing how you felt. You just, yeah, exactly.
Right,
But
right.
I'll take your feedback to my team. That'll mean a lot to them.
Oh, yeah, I so
Yeah.
appreciate that. So, how can somebody get their hands on your books?
They're out there, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, through my website. Right now, Canada Post, well, I'm not sure when this is going to be published, Teresa, but we offer porch drop-offs in Essex County, Ontario, and the rest is great shipping rates. If you want a signed book, inscribed
Cool.
book, special for whatever. And right now, everything's 20% off on
Oh,
discount too.
cool.
Yeah, so
For the
everything's at Lynn
holiday.
at lynnmclaughlin.com. You can find it all there.
And we'll
Or thepowerofthought.ca is another domain that we have.
and we'll put those links in the video description, the recording description. So anybody viewing this can go read the description and get your links there. Do you go into schools? Because I could just see this as
Yeah.
being a beautiful, if I was a teacher, I would want these books
Yeah.
to read to my kids and have these awesome discussions. Do you go into schools and teach teachers how to use your book series?
So Amber and I do something called Heart Matters, we called it, and it's
Mm.
actually through parent engagement evenings. So we'll go in the evening. The last one was absolutely incredible, where a family of schools brought us in, a secondary, and I think there were four elementary feeder schools. We all came in. Amber was working with the parents. I had we had early years off in a childcare thing. I had kindergarten to grade six with me. And then the sevens to 12s were offered something that, was appropriate to their age range.
Hmm.
Holy mackerel, that was a long hour. I ended up with 42 students. Oh, yeah. I
Wow.
thought, okay, wait a minute. I had some leadership candidates that were helping me. So it was, when you're trying to teach mindfulness and, that kind of,
Mm.
it is incredible. So in our realm, and educators are obviously in those sessions too, not just parents, but if we can get parents to be thinking about talking about these things a
Yeah.
normalized part of the
Yep.
day and give the students the tools they need, then we're hitting it on two
Hmm.
sides, right? And it's offered through the school. So you really got to have a whole community input there. But we do reading buddies, we do those kinds of things too by
Hmm.
invitation. Yeah, for sure. And we
Yeah.
really enjoy it. So
Love all
we
that.
do tag teaming. If somebody wants us virtually, we'll offer a virtual thing for educators or for parents, for sure.
Oh, okay. That's good
Yep.
to know.
Yep.
And I can tell this is so joyful for you. This whole new world that you've created for yourself, it brings you a lot of joy.
It does. It absolutely does. Yep. And
And
and I'm shifting and diverting too. I mean, I now have moved, my podcast has gone to guest hosting. I'm stepping back and doing production. I'm focusing on real life events for the children's book series, going to author shows, going to craft shows, those kinds of things. And you just continue to shift. What no longer brings you joy, you find another way
yeah.
to say, "Ah, okay, I'm going to hand that over." And I'm not saying my podcast doesn't bring me joy, but I'm not
Hmm.
connected to kids anymore. I don't have any
Hmm.
grandkids yet, and I'm not teaching anymore. I don't feel like I can host and share those real life experiences the way guest hosts can who are still in that realm. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I was an educator myself, love kids. If there's a group of kids and adults in a group setting, I will always gravitate towards the kids. I've always been like that.
Yeah.
Love their energy, love their spirit. So yeah, I totally understand you there. But we're going to have to wrap it up. We could talk forever, I'm sure. I so thank you for being here and sharing your joy with us. And I'm going to ask you what thing would you like, what call to action, what gem of wisdom would you like to share with our listeners before we sign off?
I challenge each person to pause, take 5 minutes. Might seem like a long time. Go sit outside, go for a walk, put on some music, and just think about what is around you that maybe, as you said earlier, you've taken for granted, that you
Mhm.
can appreciate and find some joy with, and not just what, but who.
Yeah.
I've lost two good friends in the last few months at a very, very young age. And when I spoke at the celebration of life at one, I said, we hadn't actually gotten together in a year. And it wasn't for any real reason. It was just, life took over.
Yeah.
Reach out to those people, book a coffee date. And before you leave the coffee date, book your next one. You
Mm,
keep the people that bring you joy in
yes.
your life
Yes.
and just be appreciative. So 5 minutes, everybody, I'm just challenging you to take 5 minutes. And I bet
Mm.
you your list is going to be quite long because you're taking the time to focus on that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful words of wisdom. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who has listened in. Again, go check out Lynn and her books. Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate you and everything you're doing out there in the world.
And I
Hope
appreciate you,
we
Teresa. Thank
hope we
you.
get to chat again.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Thanks everybody for watching and thank you, Lynn. Bye-bye.